Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a pretty wild idea. Should the United States actually try to buy Greenland? We're going to break down the arguments from one particular source that claims this move is nothing short of a strategic no-brainer. So let's get right into it. Now, you'd probably expect a deep dive like this to start with, maps or military strategy. But the source we're looking at today starts in a really unexpected place, the ancient Aramaic root of abracadabra. Turns out, abracadabra means I spoke it and it was created. And that very idea, speaking something into reality, is completely central to this whole thing. So this isn't about waving a magic wand. The argument here is that this is a very real, very deliberate political strategy. The idea is that if you repeat a goal like acquiring Greenland with enough confidence and frequency, you actually start to create the political and social conditions to make it happen. It's about turning an impossible idea into a plausible one just by talking about it. Okay, so how does that really work? Let's take a closer look at this first major concept, the idea of literally speaking a major geopolitical policy into existence. Well, according to the source, this is exactly what was going on. All that repetition, we need Greenland, it should be the 51st state, we need it for its minerals, is seen as a conscious method. The goal is to move the conversation from, that's absurd, to, well, maybe, just by relentlessly insisting on it. All right, so let's move past the how and get right into the why. What is it about Greenland that makes it such a grand prize anyway? Well, the argument really rests on two fundamental pillars. It really boils down to two huge things. First, its strategic location. As the Arctic opens up and becomes this new theater for global competition, Greenland is basically the unsinkable aircraft carrier of the North. And second, its incredible resources. It's thought to have one of the biggest untapped stashes of rare earth minerals in the world, and those are the minerals we need for literally everything, from our smartphones to our most advanced weapons. Now, to really understand the urgency behind this whole proposal, we have to look at the bigger picture. The source paints a really stark vision of the world today, one of collapsing empires, which frames this move as an absolute necessity. And here's where the source makes a pretty bold historical claim. The argument goes that unlike in the past where one empire would rise as another one fell, right now we are seeing something new, a simultaneous global decline. It suggests every major power, the US and China included, is facing similar massive internal problems all at once, which is creating a super volatile world. And in this chaotic new world, the source identifies a new alliance of adversaries, which it calls the CRNK nations: China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. This group is presented as the main strategic threat that the West has to deal with as global power shifts. In this new world, the thinking goes that old friends can't be relied on anymore. The perspective here is that traditional alliances like NATO have become, quote, useless. Europe is seen as weak and in decline, which means the US has to lock down strategic assets like all those minerals in Greenland for itself, instead of leaving them in the hands of allies who might not be able to hold on to them. Okay, so if Greenland's surprise and a collapsing world is the backdrop, how in the world would this acquisition actually happen? Well, the source is very clear on this. This is not a conquest, it's a deal. Let's be super clear here. The whole idea is framed through the lens of the art of the deal. We're talking about a purchase, a negotiation, something like when the US bought Alaska from Russia. Using force is completely 100% off the table. And here's where the proposal gets really, really unconventional. One of the ideas floated is a direct payment of $10 million to every single citizen of Greenland. The strategy is to basically go straight to the people with an offer that's so life-changing that they would then pressure their own government to say yes. So it all comes together in this pretty clear four-step approach. Step 1, negotiate a price with Denmark. Step 2, make that crazy direct payout offer to the citizens. Step 3, Greenland would become a US protectorate, not a state. And step 4, and this is crucial, guarantee their local autonomy so they can keep running their own internal affairs. And the source really, really hammers this point home again and again. Whatever happens, it has to be done in line with American laws and principles. A military takeover is a total non-starter. It's framed as something that would just violate everything the country is supposed to stand for. So all of this, it's all leading up to a much bigger vision. Buying Greenland isn't just about getting one island. It's presented as the first major move in forging a totally new West. and basically reshaping the entire global chessboard. And the ambition here is, well, it's huge. The point isn't to build some old-fashioned empire. It's about proactively carving out a secure Western sphere of influence, securing the resources, the geography, and the partnerships needed to keep America and the West on top for the next 100 years. So you see, the Greenland deal is presented as just one piece of this much bigger puzzle of national renewal. The whole strategy involves gearing up for future digital and AI wars, winning a global currency war, rebuilding America's industrial might to become an arsenal of democracy again, and building new alliances that don't depend on the old ties to Europe. It's a total vision for American power. But, and this is a huge but, the source lays down one final non-negotiable rule. None of this grand vision is worth it if it means betraying the U.S. Constitution or the rule of law. That is presented as the absolute red line that cannot be crossed, period. And that all brings us to the final, really provocative question that the source leaves us with. It's designed to make you think about how we see power, threats, and alliances in the 21st century. Why would a proposal to purchase, protect, and make a population rich be seen as more threatening than the ambitions of strategic rivals? It's a question that really gets to the heart of this entire debate.